Welcome back to The Explainer, folks. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here today because, well, we're diving into a topic that honestly affects almost every single one of us. Think about that amazing, huge wave of relief you feel when you walk into a hotel room after a massive day of travel. Right? You drop your bags, you hear that heavy door click shut, and you finally feel safe and secure. But today, we're going to tear down that unsettling illusion of security.
So here's the big question. When you lock your hotel door at night, who else has the key? It sounds like a simple question, right? But it's literally the terrifying core of the 4 case files we're about to explore today. These are all real, documented accounts that completely pull back the curtain on the vulnerabilities hiding in plain sight in hotel hallways across the country. Let's just jump right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Case File 1, the sliding notes. So we're starting off in a small city in Pennsylvania. Picture this, you check into a cheap but, decent hotel for a work trip. The lobby's got this old, kind of depressing red carpet and a very specific smell that instantly reminds you of your grandmother's house. You get up to the 3rd floor and the hallway is just dead silent. Empty, but in a very strange, uncomfortable way. Anyway, you go to sleep, but right in the middle of the night, you're jolted awake by this soft, sliding sound coming from the door. You look and you find a folded piece of paper with messy handwriting, basically warning you that someone inside the hotel is watching you. Obviously, you lock the chain, right? You sit there frozen against the wall. Tick-tock, 20 agonizing minutes go by, and then, slowly, a second piece of paper slides underneath. And then 30 minutes after that, the final, completely horrifying message arrives.
That second note, it said, "I had been inside your room earlier. I like watching people sleep." Just wow. Imagine the sheer panic of reading those words in the dark. It's not just some random threat from a weirdo in the hallway. It's that bone-chilling realization that your supposedly private, locked space had already been breached before you even unpacked your suitcase.
And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, comes the 3rd note, the slow slide of the paper across the carpet. You open it up and it reads, "I am already inside the room with you." Oh man. At this point, the guest is frantically scanning the room. They're looking under the bed, ripping back the shower curtain, turning in complete circles. It's 3 a.m., their chest is tight with panic, and they just make a desperate break for the hallway. As they sprint for the stairs, they glance back just in time to see a shadow dart right behind the corner at the end of the hall. Now downstairs, the front desk worker is completely dismissive about the whole shebang. He claims there are only 3 other guests on the entire floor, nobody's walking around, and basically suggests it's all just a big misunderstanding. But when they eventually go back up to check the room, the window lock is discovered completely, freshly broken. The hotel staff tries to brush it off, sure, but the physical evidence proves someone was coming and going long before the guest ever even noticed. Absolutely wild.
Moving right along to Case File 2, the stolen master key.
For this one, we're on a late-night drive through Virginia. A super weary traveler pulls into a basic, dimly lit hotel right around midnight. The front desk clerk barely even looks up from the desk. Now, as the guest heads down the 3rd floor hallway, they notice an eerie number of Do Not Disturb signs hanging on the doors, which makes the whole place feel kind of abandoned. And when they get to their room, the red flags upon entry are subtle, but they are unmistakably there. We're talking a tilted lamp, a dresser drawer left just slightly open, a tiny wrinkle near the corner of the blanket, looking exactly as if someone had just been sitting there. The guest rationalized it as just, lazy housekeeping. But as we're learning today, you should literally never ignore your instincts when a room feels disturbed. So, let's break down the anatomy of a truly terrifying break-in. Fast forward to the middle of the night. Step 1. The doorknob slowly turns. The guest watches the shadow of the handle moving in the dark. Step 2, you hear that distinct, terrifying sound of a metal key scraping right in the lock. And step 3, the door pushes gently open, completely silent, stopped only by the safety gap of the chain lock. The guests lay there absolutely paralyzed in the dark, as whoever was out there just quietly closed the door and walked away. But here's the thing, they came back. At exactly 2:15 a.m., the guest woke up to rustling sounds inside the room. In the pitch darkness, there was a shadowy figure hovering right over their travel bag in the corner. When the panicked guest screamed out to ask who was there, this deep male voice just calmly replied, "It's housekeeping. Sorry, I'll leave now," before quickly slipping out the door. And this reveals pretty much the ultimate hotel fear. After the guest fled and demanded police intervention, the surveillance footage revealed the actual truth. It wasn't housekeeping. obviously. It was a large, sketchy, completely unauthorized man just roaming the halls. The front desk had to admit the horrifying reality. This intruder didn't work there at all, but he had somehow compromised and stolen a master key. That's a single key designed to open literally any door in the building, and he was using it to hunt for unlocked victims in the dead of night.
All right, on to case file 3, the missing housekeeper.
Now we find ourselves in a quiet little hotel in New Jersey. The guest takes a shower, but when they step out, the bathroom mirror is mysteriously foggy, the room temperature has suddenly dropped, and a dark corner near the closet just keeps drawing their eye. This is exactly where that false sense of security totally shatters. You see, the front desk had happily insisted that housekeeping finished up hours ago and no one else was around. Yet, just after midnight, the guest wakes up to the sound of slow, struggling breathing. We're not talking about a noisy air conditioner here. This is real, heavy, human breathing coming directly from the closet corner. And that closet door, the one the guest explicitly remembers leaving wide open, yeah, it's now slightly closed.
So the guest slowly backs out of the room, utterly terrified, and runs down to the front desk to switch rooms. The desk worker goes up, finds absolutely nothing in the original room, and kind of just assumes the guest is having a bad nightmare. Whatever, the guest relocates down the hall around 1 a.m. Safe, right? Well, just 15 minutes later, at 1:15 a.m., they hear the unmistakable sound of squeaky wheels from a housekeeping cart slowly rolling down the hallway, and it stops dead right outside their new door.
And right outside that new door, that heavy, struggling breathing returned, but this time, it wasn't accompanied by a normal knock. No way. Instead, the guest listened in just visceral horror to the quiet sound of a hand, a flat palm, gently pressing and feeling the surface of the door. Just feeling it, like it was trying to find a way in without making a sound.
The guest literally barricaded the door with furniture and waited until the sun came up to check out. And when they finally spoke to the morning shift worker, he casually drops this massive bombshell. He says, "We have not had a housekeeper on staff for the last week." Apparently, the woman who used to work the night shift had simply stopped coming in. Yet, her master keys were still out there somewhere. Which leaves us all to wonder who or what exactly was pushing that cart around and hiding in that dark closet.
That brings us to case file 4, the shadow in 324.
Let's shift our perspective for a minute. Instead of a guest, we're actually looking through the eyes of a hotel maintenance worker during a completely dead summer night back in 2023. This shows what happens when the staff themselves become the victims of a hotel's unseen entities. It all starts with this building sense of dread. The worker unlocks the secure, completely empty pool room just to grab some towels. While his back is turned, he hears a sudden, massive splash behind him. He spins around to find a lifesaver violently bobbing in the water. But no one else had the key. No one else was in the room. Just a completely inexplicable event that really sets a creepy tone for the rest of his shift. Later on that same night, he gets a maintenance slip for a vacant room, room 324, to go fix a running toilet. While he's working on the plumbing in the bathroom, the air in the room suddenly turns freezing cold. Now keep in mind, this is the dead of summer, it's a warm night, but he checks the room's thermostat and it is inexplicably dropped down to an icy 68 degrees. It's so cold, it's making the hairs on his arms stand straight up. Just as the toilet starts flushing again, he hears this audibly loud thump from out in the main room. He steps out of the bathroom, and right there in the corner, just past the dangling telephone wire, is a completely black, featureless, shadow-like entity standing perfectly still by the bed. He actually described it as looking like a locked character in a fighting game, just a pure silhouette. And then, the entity moved. Needless to say, the worker bolted out the door, clocked out for the night, and literally never got an answer to what exactly was waiting for him in room 324.
And this brilliantly illustrates our final section, checking out safely.
We've looked at 4 entirely different scenarios today, right? But they all weave together perfectly to form one overarching theme about the hidden realities of hotel stays. Here's what you absolutely must take away from this explainer. If you see unexplained room disturbances, like an open drawer or a weirdly tilted lamp, do not ignore them. Be hyper-aware that dismissive hotel staff might actually be covering up broken physical locks. And most terrifyingly, compromised master keys are a very, very real threat. Your deadbolt is honestly only as strong as the hotel's key management. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly unsettling thought. We rely on hotels to be our safe havens when we travel. We really do. But with missing staff, stolen master keys, and hidden intruders, next time you check in, slide that lock and turn off the lights
Are you really alone? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay safe out there, trust your gut, and I will see you next time.